Did you eat the tree, Adam? Woman, you gave me. First effect of sin. Self-defense, self-justification, self-protection. Yes or no question. He's standing there naked and ashamed, covering his own sin in the presence of God. Naked and ashamed, trying to cover his own sin and guilt and shame. And the more you try to cover it, the more you're aware of what you did wrong. That's why in the end, God stripped that all off of him and put his own skins on that he made up. And I know it's the blood atonement, and an animal had to die to do that, and I understand all that good teaching on the blood. But to me, it's just as strong a righteous identity. I'm taking off your sin garments and I'm clothing you myself. I'm making you right, and I'm giving you a promise, because you can't take care of your own sin, but I can love you. Oh. See, they weren't made for those fig leaves. They were made for God's glory. So for now, God, till Christ has come and stuff, he just, something happened to an animal, but he covered them with the skins. Why? He robed them in the hope of that promise that God. See, because if they woke up every day and saw those fig leaves, what are they conscious of? But if they wake up and see the clothes God put on them himself, what are they conscious of? The promise, a hope. He's still a father. My sin hasn't changed him. He loves me. And it gives you integrity and hope to live different. True? And all of a sudden, God is bigger than your mistake. Oh, been a sorry day if he'd have just left him in them little fig leaves. I mean, Adam might have liked it because they were skimpy and he's changed now and he's got a whole different view of Eve. But bad preacher. Bad preacher. No, it's the truth. No, it's the truth. I had to get that in there. The price we're willing to pay to serve the flesh. Isn't that an amazing thought? The price we're willing to pay to serve the flesh, because what they had before, that whole lust thing, was about unspeakable. Yeah. Just think about it. They have to replace those fig leaves every time they wear out. They have to sew new ones. It's a constant conscious reminder of the day they threw it all away. Dumb me. Can you imagine that? Well, why'd you can put your hand down, honey. I see you. It's okay. Yeah. It's like, can you imagine this? Life's tough now and it's miserable, right? And all of a sudden, Eve, who came out of the fullness of God in the man, and who was flesh of his flesh and bone of his bone, woman, right? Not, whoa, man. Woman. And all of a sudden he goes, why'd you have to eat the stupid tree anyway? You know, and then, well, you didn't have to follow. You're the one that, you were supposed to watch over me and cover me. I didn't realize what was going on. Where were you anyway? And it's just blaming, your fault. No, your fault. Well, you were the one that was stupid. Well, you should have knew better. Well, if you'd never ate the tree, I wouldn't have ate the tree. And regret, and as sin goes on, it's just blame shifting. And if it wasn't for you, my life wouldn't be a living hell. And rah, rah, rah. Now, how many times have people lived that way since that day? And everything is everybody else's fault. And when you live in that mindset, it takes you out of the picture, and you'll never deal with your own life or heart. And there's Christians that still live that way, and they're praying about all those people in prayer, feeling justified, complaining, yelling, and expecting God to change those people. You follow me? Because they think if you wouldn't be this way, my life wouldn't be this way. And it's all a lie. We'll go to break after this.
Dan, I just have a quick comment.
Okay.
Which I had quite the concern about the story of Adam and Eve, and what helped me with it was when someone actually said that when God created Adam and he walked him around the garden and he had a relationship, close with him, and they named the animals and they this and that, and eventually he gave him Eve, and she didn't have as close of a relationship with God at that point, so it was easier for Satan to hit her with the deception. Thus, that made me look at it differently, and hopefully a lot of other people, because she was deceived more readily than Adam, because so it almost transfers it back to who's, it's not so much the blame of who did what, but I used to think, well, it just clarified something with me, because I didn't like the idea that Eve was the guilty one. She's the one that
I don't see Eve as the guilty one at all. I actually see Adam. It's Adam's the one that's named. Adam's the one that, it's the transgression of Adam. It's Adam actually committed treason. Eve was deceived. Adam followed her. So, yeah, nobody should ever blame Eve. The Bible actually says Eve was deceived. It doesn't say Adam was deceived. It says Adam followed his wife. Now, as far as the relationship and closer than Adam, I don't know where I would sit with all that. I don't know that you can prove that scripturally. What I could grab from what you said in that is walk close to God. Get to know God, because you watch and pray, lest you fall into temptation. But if all they knew was God, and God was the only thing there, she's not conscious of flesh, she's naked and unashamed until the tree. She had to have a pretty good revelation of God if she's covered with his glory and doesn't even realize she doesn't even have clothes on. So Eve came out of the fullness of God in man. So I don't really see scripturally that Eve was lacking anything that God was lacking. But there is a sense of headship, covering, priest. There's an order there where Adam had a position. And I'm not sure, you could ask till you're blue in the face to the end of time, what would have happened to Eve if Adam would have said, oh, honey, what did you do? No, that was forbidden, and covered her and showed mercy. So I don't know how all that would have worked. But there's no indication that Adam had to eat the tree just because Eve did. So the point is, she followed after flesh now instead of God. So there's a whole lot to learn there. But yeah, would never make Eve the guilty one. It doesn't demean women. It doesn't make you women an after product of it. You're just weak vessels and subject for, and there's some scriptures that are used like that against women. I don't believe that for a minute. Adam didn't have to do what he did. The Bible doesn't call it the transgression of Eve. It's the transgression of Adam. Adam's marked with the sin, not Eve. Eve was deceived. That's pretty important. So I hear what you're saying, but what I'm saying is I'm not, and I'm at the school, I'm in a position, so I'm not contesting you on that. I don't know that I would embrace that Eve had a lesser revelation of God in the sense that she didn't walk as close to God. She came forth from God. There was no awareness of sin. There was a total consciousness of God, and she was clothed with the same glory Adam was. They were both naked and unashamed. So she had to have total purity, total revelation of his goodness, and just all they knew was God. They didn't know anything else. They had zero knowledge of good and evil. So I believe she had to be walking in the same flow that Adam was walking in. But it's amazing how the sin, because watch this, just as one man's sin, it wasn't one woman's sin, it was one man's sin. It was more of a treason. He betrayed truth. I've heard preachers preach that he betrayed the kingdom of God. He followed after flesh. So it's just serious. I can't take that right now. We're going to have to go to break, but watch this. Thus death spread to all men because all men what? Sin. For until the law, sin was in the world. But sin is not imputed where there is no law. So the law exposed what sin was. So God sent the law to, watch this, provoke a conscience in man. You get it? Before the law, man was void of the consciousness of sin. So he provoked a conscience in him and set a standard to bring conviction and tutor us back to him, to a Savior. You got it? I know it's late. It's 1:15. We'll take a break. Hang on if you can. I'm going to do this quick. Nevertheless, death reigned from Adam to Moses, even over those who had not sinned according to the likeness of the transgression. See what it's called? A transgression of who? Of Adam. Some of us haven't. We lived in ignorance, willfulness. We were taught a certain way, and we come to the knowledge of the truth, and we go, Oh my goodness, what was I thinking? I was living for me. I was a God. This makes sense. I wasn't created for this. No wonder life's been so bad. And I didn't even wonder why I didn't want to live after that. I was like, life's a rat race. Now I understand. And you come out of that and say, man, and the message really, who knows, there's people, the message really touches your heart. I would just put myself in that category. The night on June 9th of 95, when the gospel dawned in my heart, that was me. I'm like, duh. And I jumped over here. Now, since then, I don't believe I've committed the same transgression as Adam. I don't feel that in my heart. I don't think I can remember one time in my life where I said, well, I know better. Well, I shouldn't do that. Well, I don't need to do that. Well, that ain't profitable. Well, I don't want to. Well, oh, well, God will forgive me. Oh, well. And then I just do it. I honestly don't have a memory of that. But have I ever missed the mark in the sense of missing the mark? You get what I'm saying? Have I ever just found myself in unbelief and being deceived into a mindset that wasn't producing God and His glory and faith, and just believing the flesh and believing it's all still sin. It still needs forgiven and matured and grown and all that. But this willful thing, willful sin and the transgression of Adam, the awareness, following after flesh, says not everybody's done that. We haven't all, doesn't it say that? Who knows that we believe that we all have to sin, and we almost always have it in the category of willfulness and knowing better and doing it anyway. And then we teach ourselves that. So you actually accommodate the flesh and you say, oh, well, whatever. And in the heat of the moment, you go, oh, well, God will forgive me. Or, oh, well, whatever. And you push right into it. Look. Even over those who had not sinned according to the likeness of the transgression of Adam. How many Christians have walked in the cool of the day like Adam? How many Christians have had the intimacy with Adam and have walked without any shame and and then all of a sudden, boom, he does what he does. So not everybody fits that category. But however, we've all missed the mark. True? From Adam to Moses. Even over those who had not sinned according to the likeness of the transgression of Adam, who is a type of him who was to come. But the free gift is not like the offense. For if by one man's offense many what? Died, much more the grace of God and the gift by grace through the one man Jesus Christ abounded to many. And the gift is not like that which came through the one who sinned. What he's saying is we were all born into Adam and we were all reaping the fruit of his transgression. We were all reproduced after his own kind. That's why we all must be born, because we were born into that fall. And what was the fall? This is what we don't teach clear. I don't believe I ever heard this growing up. The fall of man was love to selfishness. That was the fall of man. Come on, that's so clear. The fall of man was love, selfish. 180 degrees. Jesus comes and models what we were before that fall. And says, follow me. And we're to love just as he loved. And he said, if you want to follow me, the first thing you have to do, Trish, is deny yourself. If you deny yourself, you'll have the ability to pick up your cross and taxi through every injustice and unfairness just like me. And now you'll really follow me. I don't know about you, but that isn't what was taught to me to come to Christ. It was just you sinned and he had to die because you sinned. You need to repent and accept him into your heart. That's how we preach the gospel in this country. And that doesn't transform our thinking or our lives. It actually, a lot of times, puts a mandate on us that we got to live better now. Now we feel obligated to God, and we try to go through the Christian motions and put ourselves in the right places. But all the same things are still wrong if we're not careful. Better I'll go to break, because I could really go on this one. Have mercy on you right now. Go to break. But when you hear the bell, come back, because I'm going to dig right back in. Oh, you're so easy to do that with. You're such a pure. I really, you guys signed up for this school, and it's imperative that, wow, am I starting before the bell? That is just last call. Last call. There's one last outpouring of truth, and then the bar is closed. Last call. Oh, God. Okay. So Adam came. Okay, I ended with this. The fall of man, I would love for us to see the gospel this simple. It's all about first Adam, second Adam, love, selfishness, sin, redemption. Okay? The first Adam came, transgressed. The second Adam came, manifested truth, made up for the transgression, and fulfilled all the law, all the truth, and modeled the life we're created for. So the first Adam came, we were born into him with a total fallen picture of who we are. Christ comes in the mercy of God. God reveals his love, his goodness, his mercy, his nature. Through all this, we see the truth about who God is, and it's just amazing. God is so magnified in the midst of this to me. I'm like, whew, if he was anything like we grew up thinking, you know, the way we were thinking, our lives would have changed him. See, so many times we identify God with man. We try to make him like us. And his whole intention is to get us back to being like him. That's why people have a hard time facing God when they do wrong, because they've been hammered so hard when they do wrong, and then they feel like God is so mad at them now. How many times have I heard people say, but God has to be so mad at me. He's so disappointed with me. No, he so passionately loves you and wants you to receive his mercy and forgiveness and crawl up on his lap and let him hold you. He's not mad at you. He's not going, you dummy. Hannah, how could you do this again? You're kidding me. Again? That's not God. Elbow and Jesus. Did we write once for all? Why didn't we write except Hannah? People live that way. They feel disqualified. Who's ever believed that? See, I'm using her because I know that is so not true. That's why I'm using you. It's not true for anybody. But you could be living in a certain way and all of a sudden believe that what? You're disqualified. God is so mad at me. God has to be so disappointed. Who's heard those phrases or maybe said that? God has to be so disappointed in me right now. His heart yearns for you, longs for you. When sin abounds, grace abounds more. I just said to the sister, I said, when we were at our worst, God's at his best. We actually brought the best out in God. And then Paul says, well, so should we sin so grace abounds? No, that's not the picture. But when we did, grace did abound and God was revealed for who he was. But that doesn't mean we go continue to tempt the grace of God. We don't sin to bring the best out in God. But thank God our sin didn't trash him. Because our sin against one another has trashed one another. Thank God he's who he is. I don't know about you, but I want to follow the strength of that, not the weakness of the pattern we've all grown up with. Come on, how strong is my Christianity if it's just hanging in the balance for the next fallout and the next injustice and the next disappointment? I was asked some real good questions at the break, and the one was, so is it wrong to hurt, for people to hurt? Well, I think we handle that with such kid gloves. We've been hurt so much that we want to sympathize with people hurt and give them the right to hurt. And we say, well, you know, you are going to hurt. I don't want to hurt. I don't believe I have to hurt. I don't believe God's hurt. I believe he's hurting for people. I don't believe he's hurt by people. I believe he's hurting for people. I don't want to hurt, because if I hurt, I open the door for sympathy, sorry for myself, the permission to be affected by your life in a negative way instead of edified and sharpened. The permission slip to be hurt says I'm still alive and you're alive for me. It says that I have expectations on you, but my expectation is from the Lord. I look up from whence comes my help. Come on. It's awesome when we do right to one another. It's awesome when you love and encourage one another and sharpen one another and edify one another. We can do that. We're created and designed for that. But if I get in a self-centered way, an expectation where I put a certain identity on you that you have to be a certain way for me to be okay, I'm already in trouble. And I'm already going to be disappointed. And I'm already going to see you for what you've done wrong instead of your value and potential. Come on, we've done it our whole lives. We've broken relationships. We have shifted circles and little cliques and inner stuff and churches. And almost all the time, this is the stuff behind the scenes that justifies it. And unfortunately, you carry the same perspective into the new arena. To repeat the cycle again and again and again. And by the time you're 45 or 50 and you've been saved 25 years, you wonder who's really serious. And your level of understanding of Christianity gets so diminished and your heart gets so dull that you're just going through religious motions sometimes. But nobody's really for real. And everybody has their hidden issues. And there's nobody really pure. And some people get reduced to that because they've seen so much drama and stuff. And then they get calloused, and then that becomes their belief system. But watch this. All the while, here's the model and example. Jesus saying, follow me, and he hasn't changed the whole time. But we're trying to find ourselves through one another instead of through him. You following me? Look, I think healthy relationships are important, and I think sowing into one another and loving one another and pouring out, that's the Christian life. But if I have a catch to that and a motive to that just as quick allows you to hurt me, disappoint me, then there's self-interest. There's something in it that gets unhealthy. It's like that I love you thing that we have with the thing I was saying about the people closest to us. And that's a rational thing. And he was very humble. He said, yeah, I believe that. But the truth is the people closest to us shouldn't have any more permission to break our heart all the more. Now they're getting close to us at the cost of us. It's vulnerable then. No, I love you. What you're saying is, well, yeah, but now, see, here's the deal. And I use this one all the time because it gets the room real quiet and it freaks everybody out. And I don't mind that. We need freaked out. We do. We need shell-shocked out of traditional thinking. And the way that seems right to man needs absolutely pummeled by the truth. It is common in the church for us as human beings to feel sorry for the people that were trespassed against. And then ostracize in our heart and mind and judge the person that committed the offense. So now he's the enemy and poor so-and-so. The reason it's so obvious and normal for us to respond that way is because that's the way we're living and we're already carrying our own issues and pains. And we feel bad for people that are hurting because we've spent so much time hurting. Okay. So Chelsea is sweet. She's so sweet. You are. You are. So somebody does something totally unjust or unjust to her. The tendency is to embrace her and go, oh, honey, I am so sorry they did that to you. I can't believe they did that to you, honey. Man, they should have known better. You must be so hurt. I can't imagine how you must feel. We need to pray for them. And, oh, honey, I need to pray for you, God. And we stroke and cuddle and pamper. And we call that sensitive. Being sensitive. And the whole time, the person that committed the act is the villain. And you're the victim. So on my whole expression to you, I have to be very careful I'm not victimizing you and making you the poor little thing that got trespassed against. Because actually what I'm telling you is that you are vulnerable, you can be hurt, and it's a shame life's unfair and people aren't living with more integrity. And I'm sorry you have to pay the price for people's weakness, honey. I'm sorry you were in the way. Oh. Why is it so normal to minister that way and then have the bad impression? See, because here's the truth. This is the truth. She's not the victim. She doesn't even have a problem. She's in Christ. The person that's living this way that would do something to her is the one we should be concerned about. There's something wrong. There's something they're not seeing, missing, shifting. There's something missing. just because they did injustice in her direction and she was doing something and they did something that they shouldn't have done, or they stole something, or they said they were a friend and got close enough and then violated something and took off with something important, and they had other motives, and all of a sudden, I can't believe they did that to me. Who can I trust now? I don't know who I can even trust. I don't even know if I want a friend in my life anymore. I don't even know if I can ever get close to people. I need to put up boundaries and walls and keep myself protected, and God, you're my defense, and I'm just going to hide on an island with you because life is tough. And now you're reading all the Christian books, how to protect yourself from people. Because of all your former hurts and broken, violated boundaries. I've honestly learned to live with none. I don't have them. You can come as close to me as time and grace permit, because you're not a threat to my life. Nothing that I have is mine. I don't have to set a boundary to protect myself from you, because I'm not vulnerable to you. I love you. Could you imagine that? We're all trying to get to God and he has all these fences reinforced around him because we broke his heart so many times. Hello? See, when you put God in the picture, it sounds hilarious because we know he's not that way, but we're made in his image. It should sound just as crazy with us in the picture. Here's what rationale says. So you have a marriage and somebody shuts down. Now there's unresolved. Now there's lack of communication. Now there's needs rising up. Now there's not growing in Christ. They're more aware of what we don't have instead of what we should have. And now spouses start feeling sorry for themselves. And now the wife and the husband isn't meeting each other's need. And now all of a sudden it's no longer a good flow and covenant. And all of a sudden all this is being justified through human reasoning, psychology, just natural reasoning. And then all of a sudden now you're attracted in a direction you normally wouldn't be if everything was healthy. And now that seems like love, and that seems like the answer. And now you're reduced back down to self-centered, self-serving living, and yet you're married and you've given yourself to another and said, till death do us part, all that is mine is yours. But now issues rise up, and now we're taking account of suffered wrongs, and now we're being reduced back to what we were before Christ ever came. And we have all the reasons why. Because they aren't this, and they've been this, and I can tell you how many meetings I have sat in, and people force you, they feel like they have to lay out their laundry list of why they're the way they are and dish on their loved one. And I don't do well in those meetings. Usually, honestly, don't even tolerate those meetings. If I can avoid them, I will avoid them in the sense of I'll pull it into truth and try to bring a conviction in them to where that's not important. But sometimes they absolutely have to share the dirt. And then I let them, and then I can get them. Sometimes you have to let them and then get them. Because if you don't let them, you don't even have their ear. You don't even have a voice. You know what I'm talking about. You'd be amazed the whole time they're doing the laundry list, they're trying to gain your favor and gain your power and get you to agree and get you to be biased and just absolutely trash the person they're in covenant with. Man, if God did that to us, if he would call a meeting and begin to nitpick, not even nitpick, just be real and just share the straight up stuff, would we be in trouble? Why do we want this amazing love and even pursue to be loved by him and not willing to give it and become it? If it's so desirable for us, why wouldn't we offer it to the world? Because of the selfish lie. So here's this victim thing. So all of a sudden I'm wrapping my arms around her saying, poor you. And here's what I'm doing in the church. I'm actually giving her permission to be hurt and feel sorry for herself because of the violation when I talk to her that way. I'm actually expecting her to be that way. And I'm accommodating it. You follow me? Instead of teaching her the heart of God and getting this whole situation in its right perspective to look through truth and righteousness and justice and mercy, so that she has absolutely lost nothing. If in anything, she's been given the great privilege of manifesting the heart of God and being, when nobody's looking, in a place of prayer through a pure heart and a clear conscience and a sincere, genuine faith, which sounds like love. Did you get that? Now she's praying this way, not because she's hurt, not because I can't believe they did that to me. God, why don't you intervene in their life and change their heart? Oh my God, they're going to hurt so many other people if you don't do something. Where's faith in that? Where's love in that? Where's the value of that person in that?